When your lifting device breaks, should you repair it or replace it? In this video, we'll help you make the right call so you don't waste time, money, or effort. My name is Ben, and this is the Lifting and Rigging Channel, and today I'm joined by Dan Sherwood, Below the Hook Specialist. He's gonna let us know when it's time to repair your below the hook device or when it's time to scrap it, start over, start fresh. So Dan, what are the most common reasons that someone would need to have their lifting device replaced?
A lot of times it's either like an overload situation where they picked up more than what the device could handle and they damaged something of it. It could be a misuse and they used a certain device in an application that it's not designed for. And the other one is just straight up neglect. If they've had something that's been sitting outside in the elements for years, rusting away.
So just because it is fixable doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be worth fixing. So what are some of the things that people should consider before sending in their device for repair?
Just because you're sending a device in and it's out of sight, out of mind for you, we have to put forth labor and time to, number one, inspect it, and number two, to store it somewhere. Before they put forth the money and the effort to send it to us, reach out to us. Pictures and as much information as you can give us to help you guys make that decision is gonna make this process so much easier. And we talked about earlier the neglect lifters, right? Those lifters that were kind of set outside, starting to rust away, and they start getting to that point where your punch list of things on the lifter you need to start repairing really starts to add up. You're almost doubling the amount of labor it takes to repair something as opposed to like if you just built it new. Once we get to like 75% of what we feel the value of that lifter is, we'll quote you the repair, but we're also gonna quote you new. You can kind of start to make that decision. Do we wanna keep moving forward with this device or do we wanna just start fresh? The smaller lifters that really don't cost much up front, you're gonna spend as much, if not more, to repair it than you are just to totally start from scratch. When you get into the really big lifters, you know, some of the big stuff the steel mills use, it's gonna be more cost effective to repair it than it is to really go and to replace it. You do have to take shipping into account of the repair too, because the bigger the lifter is, the more it's gonna cost.
What won't we repair?
So anything that is not properly tagged per the ASME B3020 standard is completely off the table for us to repair. If there's backup documentation you have where a tag might have got knocked off, and that's something we can go back and try to find, you know, previous approval drawings, something that ties us back to what we call as a reputable manufacturer. Caldwell, a Harrington, a Peerless. If you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this kind of looks like a pile of junk, it can be best to not repair it in a situation like that.
Things we will repair, wear and tear, old age, stuff like that.
And we've even repaired some misuse items. Let's say they picked up something and it was over capacity for what the lifter was, and they broke a hook off. Doesn't necessarily mean they damaged the rest of the lifter, but it also doesn't mean that the rest of the lifter is fine. You may not be able to see any physical damage to the rest of the lifter, but if, you know, let's say the lifter was rated for 5 ton and they know they picked up 12 ton, we're gonna recommend you replace something like that.
What are the reasons why there's a danger in trying to fix it?
Every lifting device has a lifespan based off of design category in the service class, which designates how many uses it can have. We may not know exactly where that lifter is in its overall life cycle. Then it gets overloaded, misused to a situation where even if you can't see it, it's really risky, and the liability of taking that on and assuming that just because it looks okay, it is okay, is too great to where we're not gonna put anybody's lives at risk and trying to save a buck by saying, all right, yeah, you know, we'll repair that to get it back in. We're gonna do what's right. We're gonna make sure the device is sound and we will stand behind it that we're gonna be comfortable putting it back into the field.
Is there a different lead time between buying new or repairing?
It depends on the complexity of what it is we're doing. Typically, we're anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks for new builds. If we have to repair something that we didn't necessarily make, it's up to our engineers to go out and get all the measurements they need to kind of redesign the components that we have to replace. You might be able to shave off, a couple weeks by doing a repair.
Explain a little bit about the life cycle of a lifting device and how does that play into should you repair it or should you replace it?
It really all goes back to the design of the device. How many shifts are you using it on and how many lifts per shift are you using it? So we want to make sure we're able to design this lifter and rate this lifter so you can get about at minimum 10 years of life out of it under normal circumstances. And that all goes back into what its design category is and what its service class is. And all of those relate back to overall rated life cycles. 0 to 20,000 is the lowest level at a service class 0. Above 2 million life cycles is what a service class 4 is used for. What the device service class is took effect in 2008 when the BTH1 standard came out. So there will be some legacy devices out there that don't even have a design category or a service class tied to it. And those legacy devices are starting to kind of see the end of their lifespans. You're probably going to want to replace those because you don't know where you are in your life cycle on that. And eventually, after so many uses, something will start to fail. Usually, if you're keeping up with your OSHA inspections, you'll start to catch, the pre-failure signs.
In the standards, there is some guidance a little bit to help people determine what is the service life of their below the hook device.
The table B31, it lists it out as life cycles per day. For instance, if you're using something 50 times a day, and you want it to last you 30 years, you need to make sure that it's getting designed at a service class 3. Really understanding how frequently you're using something in a day will impact how it needs to be designed.
So if you have your documentation, then you can kind of work backwards. So you know that it was designed to this service class, we know that it's this old, therefore we can kind of look at it and say, you know what, it's getting towards the end of its life anyways, or well, it's got a lot of life left in it, let's get it fixed.
If you're keeping all your proper documentation with it, hopefully somebody saved your approval drawing. And if not, all that should be on your lifter, the date, the month and year it was manufactured will be on there, and then the design category and your service class. Mizelle is glad to be here to help you in assessing whether or not you need to have something looked at to be repaired or replaced. And as always, we're glad to take a look at everything to help get your lifter back in service or to help you get a new lifter in there. You might even be able to make some tweaks and mods that you wish the other lifter could do.
All right, well thanks Dan.
Hey, thank you Ben, appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. At the end of the day, lifter repairs can be cost effective, but only under the right conditions. Now that you know what qualifies a device for repair, as well as what disqualifies it, your next step is to talk with one of our specialists about your specific situation. Link below. We'll help talk you through the most cost-effective decision so you can get back to lifting as fast as possible. If you found this video useful, informative, entertaining, or you just feel like being friendly, then hit that like button so we can get this information out to everyone who needs it. If you have a question, drop it in the comments. And remember, safe rigging is smart rigging. My name is Ben. Stay safe out there.